Tonight's adventure is EGR valves and emission controls and other odd stuff. What I'm trying to do here is figure out exactly how this emission control works. There's an EGR valve. This is a solenoid, which, if I understand what its function is to keep that EGR valve from working until the water temperature on the engine comes up. And the EGR valve vacuum comes through this line, through this solenoid, which is currently hooked up to my vacuum pump, but normally would be hooked up down to this vacuum supply, which goes to the throttle body. What we're going to try to do is figure out, is the solenoid cutting off as it should while the engine is cold? Now, I'm a little confused on this because I'm not sure if that switch is supposed to turn on or off, or the solenoid is supposed to pass the vacuum through when it's turned on or when it's turned off. I don't know that, but it doesn't really matter. If it's not functioning, we'll be able to figure out that pretty quickly. It's some combination of such. It should be able, in other words, I should be able to still control the vacuum with power on or power off. It should work one way or the other. First, let's see if there's any current flowing through the solenoid. Got the meter hooked up. I'm going to complete the circuit. I'm getting about almost a third of an amp flowing through the circuit. I don't really hear anything. Down in the solenoid, which bothers me a little bit, because I'm thinking if it's opening and closing, there should be some kind of sound, like some kind of valve opening and closing. This is me opening and breaking the circuit. Okay. So anyway, clearly there's current flowing through the circuit. So what we're going to do now is plug this back in. Excuse me for a second while I hook this up. Okay, so now the valve is energized, and it's energized by taking this, which normally goes to a water temperature switch down here, which you can't see. But anyway, trust me, that plugs into that. We know we have current flowing through this thing. I'm going to go ahead and put a vacuum on it, and we're going to see what happens. Here we go. Listen for that EGR valve. Oh, I heard it. There it goes. I'll go do it again. I hear it opening and closing down there. Okay. I'm going to put my hand on there and see if I can feel it. Hold on for a second while I do it. Yes. I can confirm that that diaphragm is pulling up. So with the coil energized, the EGR is opening up and recirculating exhaust gases. Okay, so that should typically happen, I would think, only after the engine is warmed up. Now, just for grins, we will de-energize it. Excuse me, I don't want to break any wires. Hold on. Okay, the solenoid's obviously disconnected, right? Bleed off the vacuum. Try it again. Still doing the same thing. So what that's telling me is that this EGR valve is working regardless of what's going on with this solenoid valve, which tells me this can't be right. So like I said, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be turning on or turn off when the switch is warmer. And I actually feel a little bit of heat there. So clearly there's power. I guess a third of an amp's enough to actuate it. My guess is whatever the mechanism inside here that turns this vacuum on and off is frozen up. And I don't know if this is a serviceable part. It sure doesn't look like it's serviceable. So this might be bad, I assume it's bad since it's not doing anything, as demonstrated by this test with the switch, with the power on or power off having no effect. It still passes a vacuum through it. Well, I guess that makes sense, passing a vacuum through it. You know what I mean. Anyway, so if anybody has some insight in this valve, let me know. But my next course of action would be either to pull this thing, see if there's any way to take it apart, which for some reason I really don't think there is, or just go ahead and get another one and replace it. And obviously I'll test it on the bench before I do anything. But I also suspect that this valve and this water switch down here, let's get a light on it. Hold on. I hope you can see it. It's right here, right there, the one that's illuminated. See that? There's two lines. I guess I can take that out and put a test on it. The field service manual was a little unclear. It seemed to imply that it would be turned on when it was cold and off when it was warm, which seems like kind of the opposite of what I would expect, but you know, I don't know how it works. And again, I don't know if this thing's supposed to allow the vacuum to flow when it's turned on or turned off, so I really don't understand the mechanism and the order of events, but I know that that mechanism right there is not doing anything regardless of power. So more on this later, just more work on the Z. I'm working out all the little issues one thing at a time. How does this manifest? Well, you know, drives fine, and maybe it doesn't really matter if this is working or not. Maybe it's just not that sensitive a deal. I don't know. I just don't like things that don't behave like they're supposed to, and I don't think this is behaving right, so I'm going to keep working on this till we figure out what's going on. Anyway, more later. Thank you.